3 days before our wedding, my fiancée called and shattered 5 years of love with a single sentence. The wedding is cancelled. She claimed she needed space, but the truth was far worse. She had gone back to her ex. Everyone expected me to fall apart, cancel the ceremony, and disappear in humiliation. Instead, I calmly told everyone the wedding was still happening. What neither she nor her ex realized was that I had a plan. And when the big day arrived, the truth I revealed sent their perfect little fantasy crashing down in front of hundreds of witnesses. 3 days before my wedding, I stood in the reception hall smiling like the luckiest man alive. "Everything looks perfect," I told the venue coordinator. She smiled. "Your bride is going to love it." I know. I truly believed that. After 5 years together, I trusted my fiancé with everything. We had survived arguments, long work hours, family pressure, and financial struggles. Every challenge seemed to bring us closer. My phone buzzed while I was checking the seating chart. Her name appeared on the screen. I answered immediately. "Hey babe." Her voice sounded strange. "We need to talk." My stomach tightened. "What's wrong?" A long silence followed. Then she said, "I'm calling off the wedding." I laughed nervously. "What?" "The wedding is cancelled." I felt the room spin. "Stop joking." "I'm not joking." I walked outside the hall. "What are you talking about?" "I need space." 3 days before our wedding? I don't think I'm ready. I stared at the parking lot. Ready for what? For marriage. My grip tightened around the phone. "We've been planning this for over a year." "I know." "Then why now?" Another silence. "I just don't feel certain anymore." The words sounded rehearsed. Cold. Carefully prepared. I swallowed hard. "Is there someone else?" "No." The answer came too quickly. "Look at me and say that." "I'm not doing this." "Tell me the truth." "I need time." "You had 5 years." "I'm sorry." Then she hung up. I stood there staring at my phone. The call had lasted less than 3 minutes. 5 years ended in less than 3 minutes. A few minutes later, my best friend called. "Dude, are you okay?" "How do you know?" "She called some people already." I closed my eyes. "So it's real." "I'm afraid so." "She said she needs space." My friend hesitated. "There's something else." My chest tightened. "What?" "I didn't want to tell you." "Tell me." "I saw her with someone yesterday." My voice dropped. "Who?" "Her ex." The world suddenly made sense. The cold voice. The sudden doubt. The timing. "Are you sure?" "Yeah." "Maybe it was innocent." "I thought that too." I leaned against my car. "What aren't you telling me?" My friend sighed. "They weren't acting like friends." I didn't answer. "Dude? How long?" "I don't know." I felt sick. That night, another mutual friend sent me screenshots. Messages. Photos. Conversations. Her ex had returned to town 2 months earlier. Since then, they had been talking constantly. One message made my stomach turn. "What if you're making a mistake marrying him?" Her reply came seconds later. "Sometimes I wonder that too." I read the line again. And again. Then I set my phone down. I expected anger. Instead, I felt calm. Strangely calm. The next morning, my best friend showed up at my apartment. "What are you going to do?" I picked up a folder filled with wedding documents. "What does it look like?" He frowned. "Why are you reviewing contracts?" "Because I have things to do." "Dude, the wedding is cancelled." I looked directly at him. "No." "What?" "The wedding is still happening." He blinked. "I think you're in shock." "Maybe." "What does that even mean?" I slipped the folder into my bag. "It means exactly what I said." He followed me to the door. "You're seriously going through with this?" I smiled for the first time since the phone call. "The wedding is still happening." His confusion grew. Mine didn't. For the first time in days, everything felt perfectly clear. Nobody understood what I meant. And that was exactly how I wanted it. The day after she canceled the wedding, I stopped asking why. Instead, I started looking for answers. My best friend sat across from me at my kitchen table. "You sure you want to read all of this?" He pointed at the screenshots on my laptop. "No." "Then don't." "I have to." I opened the first conversation. At the beginning, the messages looked harmless. "Hope you're doing well." "Long time no see." "Remember college?" Small talk. Nothing more. Then the conversations changed. The messages became longer. More personal. More frequent. I kept scrolling. My stomach tightened. One message from her ex caught my attention. "He's a good guy, but he's predictable." She replied with a laughing emoji. Another message appeared. You deserve excitement. A minute later she answered. Maybe you're right. I clenched my jaw. My friend watched silently. I continued reading. The next conversation hurt even more. What are you doing? Wedding planning. Sounds boring. It is. A few lines later she added. He's safe though. Her ex responded immediately. Safe and boring aren't the same as happy. I slammed the laptop shut. My friend flinched. Damn. I looked away. It's hosted here. I know. 5 years. I know. I laughed bitterly. Apparently I'm safe. My friend didn't know what to say. Neither did I. Later that afternoon my phone started ringing. A cousin called first. What time should we arrive Saturday? 2 o'clock. So everything's ready? Yes. The call ended. Then another guest called. Do you need help setting up? No, everything is under control. For the next 2 hours, I answered questions about a wedding that supposedly wasn't happening. I never corrected anyone. That evening, my mother arrived at my apartment. She looked worried. What's going on? I poured her some coffee. Depends what you've heard. I heard she canceled the wedding. She did. My mother stared at me. Then why are guests saying everything is still scheduled? Because it is. She frowned. I don't understand. You will. My father walked in behind her. He crossed his arms. Son, what are you planning? I smiled slightly. Trust me. He studied my face. You're calmer than I expected. I've had time to think. The next morning another call came. This time it was her father. His voice sounded furious. Did my daughter cancel this wedding? Yes. Then why are people calling me? I remained quiet. He sighed heavily. I raised her better than this. For the first time I heard disappointment in his voice. The pressure was growing around her. Family members wanted answers. Guests wanted explanations. She wanted silence. She wasn't getting it. That afternoon my best friend showed me a social media photo. Her ex had posted it. The caption read, "Some people settle. Some people choose happiness." I laughed. What an idiot. He's acting like he already won. He thinks this is a game. My friend nodded. What are you going to do? I closed the app. Wait. For what? The right moment. That evening I drove to the venue. The manager greeted me. Everything ready for Saturday? Almost. She smiled. What do you need? I lowered my voice. I want one change. Her expression turned curious. What kind of change? I explained the idea carefully. Her eyes widened. Are you serious? Completely. After a long pause she nodded. I can make that happen. Thank you. As I left the building my phone buzzed. A text from my best friend appeared. What did the manager say? I typed back immediately. Everything is set. Only 2 people knew the full plan. Me. And the venue manager. The morning of the wedding arrived with clear skies and nervous energy. Guests filled the venue exactly as planned. Some smiled. Others whispered. Everyone seemed to have heard a different version of the story. My best friend adjusted his tie. You ready for this? I've never been more ready. You still haven't told me everything. You'll find out soon enough. He shook his head. You're terrifying when you're calm. I laughed. A few minutes later my phone buzzed. My fiancée was calling. I answered immediately. What is this? She demanded. The wedding. You were supposed to cancel it. I don't remember agreeing to that. Her breathing grew heavier. People are arriving. I noticed. Why would you do this? Come and see. She hung up. Half an hour later she stormed into the venue. The moment I saw her, I understood she had expected an empty building. Instead she found hundreds of guests. Family members. Friends. Co-workers. Everyone. Behind her stood her ex-boyfriend. He looked amused. As if he had come to watch a comedy show. A staff member guided them backstage. The second she saw me she exploded. Have you lost your mind? No. You had no right to do this. I folded my arms. I paid for it. Her face reddened. People think we're getting married. People think many things. She stepped closer. Cancel this right now. Why? Because it's over. I looked directly into her eyes. Then why are you here? For a second she had no answer. Her ex stepped forward. This is pathetic. I smiled. Good morning to you too. He rolled his eyes. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? My fiancée pointed toward the ballroom. Those people are expecting a wedding. Yes. So stop this. I remained calm. No. Her voice cracked. Why didn't you cancel? I held her gaze. Because everyone deserved the truth. Confusion flashed across her face. Then she laughed. A nervous laugh. Oh my God. What? You think this will make me come back? I almost felt sorry for her. You still don't understand. What am I supposed to understand? I reached into my folder. The color drained from her face immediately. What is that? Evidence. Neither of them spoke. I pulled out printed screenshots, photos, message records, dates, the entire story. Her ex finally broke the silence. You went through her phone? No. Then where did you get those? I smiled. Does it matter? My fiancée looked terrified. For the first time since this started, she wasn't angry. She was scared. You can't show people that. Why not? Because those are private. I nodded slowly. So was our relationship. The ex-boyfriend laughed loudly. Nobody joined him. You seriously think anyone cares? I slipped the documents back into the folder. Maybe. He smirked. Nobody is going to care about some messages. I checked my watch. We'll see. My fiancée grabbed my arm. Please. The word surprised me. Don't do this. I gently removed her hand. You already did. The ballroom doors opened. A coordinator stepped inside. We're ready? I nodded. Thank you. My best friend appeared beside me. It's time. I looked at my fiancée and her ex one final time. Neither seemed confident anymore. What's happening? She asked. I started walking toward the stage. The ceremony. Her voice followed me. This isn't a ceremony. I glanced back. No. Then I smiled. The ceremony is just the beginning. Minutes later, hundreds of guests took their seats. The lights dimmed. The music began. Everyone waited for a wedding. Only I knew they were about to witness something completely different. And neither of them had any idea the real event was finally starting. I walked onto the stage as the music faded. Hundreds of faces stared at me. Friends, family, co-workers, people who had come expecting wedding vows. I picked up the microphone. Thank you all for being here. The room answered with polite applause. I smiled. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Several guests nodded. My fiancée and I spent years planning this moment. I paused. But before anything else, I believe everyone deserves the truth. Confused whispers spread through the ballroom. I continued. 5 years ago, I met the woman I thought I would spend my life with. I spoke about our first dates, our dreams, our plans. At first, people smiled. Some even laughed at the memories. Then I pointed toward the giant screen. Unfortunately, this story doesn't have the ending I expected. The first screenshot appeared. The room became quiet. A message filled the screen. He is safe but boring. A murmur moved through the crowd. I heard someone gasp. My fiancée stood frozen near the back. Her face had turned pale. I clicked the remote again. Another conversation appeared. Then another. Then another. Nobody spoke. Nobody laughed. The evidence spoke for itself. I didn't add insults. I didn't raise my voice. I simply presented facts. My fiancée suddenly stepped forward. Stop this. I looked at her. Why? Because this isn't fair. I almost laughed. Fair? She froze. The next screenshot appeared. A photo of her having dinner with her ex while telling me she was working late. Someone in the audience whispered, "Oh my God." Her mother covered her mouth. Her father lowered his head. I felt no joy watching their pain. Only certainty. The ex-boyfriend suddenly shouted, "This proves nothing." I pointed toward the screen. Really? Another set of messages appeared. His smile disappeared. He marched toward the stage. Turn that off. No. You can't do this. I already am. He looked ready to grab the microphone. 2 venue employees immediately stepped between us. The crowd watched silently. Nobody defended him. Nobody defended her. I clicked the remote again. Dates appeared. Conversations appeared. Months of lies unfolded in front of everyone. My best friend stood near the front row. He shook his head slowly. The betrayal looked even worse when displayed in order. Then I reached the final piece of evidence. I looked directly at my fiancée. She knew what was coming. Please don't. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. I pressed play. The recording filled the ballroom. Her voice echoed through the speakers. I swear he's so easy to fool. Then laughter. Her laughter. The room went completely silent. The recording continued. If I tell him I'm busy, he never questions it. More laughter followed. Each word felt heavier than the last. I watched guests exchange shocked looks. Some stood up immediately. One family quietly walked toward the exit. Several people shook their heads in disgust. The recording ended. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then her father finally stood. He looked at his daughter. Tell me this isn't real. She couldn't answer. Her mother wiped tears from her eyes. You lied to everyone. I can explain. Her father's voice cracked. No. The ex-boyfriend tried one final time. This is being twisted. A guest stood up. We just heard her voice. Another guest added, you both made your choices. More criticism followed. Neither of them had anywhere to hide. For the first time since this began, my fiancée looked completely lost. She had expected me to be humiliated. Instead, every lie had been exposed. Every choice had consequences. Every secret had become public. I lowered the microphone and looked across the silent ballroom. The wedding was over. But the truth had finally arrived. And nobody could pretend otherwise anymore. The morning after the ceremony, my phone would not stop ringing. My best friend called first. You seen the videos yet? No. You're everywhere. I sighed. That wasn't the goal. Maybe not, but people are talking. I opened social media and immediately understood. Clips from the ceremony had spread everywhere. Thousands of comments filled the post. Most people were supporting me. Others were criticizing my ex-fiancée and her ex-boyfriend. I closed the app. I had seen enough. Later that afternoon, my mother called. How are you feeling? Better than I expected. I'm proud of you. For exposing everything? No. For staying calm. Her words stayed with me. 4 days, new updates kept appearing. One evening, a mutual friend called. You won't believe this. What happened? Her company started an investigation. I frowned. Why? Apparently she used company equipment and work accounts to hide parts of the affair. I leaned back in my chair. Seriously? Seriously. The call ended, but another arrived only an hour later. This time it involved her ex-boyfriend. My friend sounded almost shocked. His business partner left. What? Completely walked away. I sat upright. Why? He found out about several lies. I remembered the man's confidence backstage. The arrogance. The certainty. Now it was disappearing. A week later, I ran into an old coworker at a coffee shop. He smiled and pulled out a chair. Mind if I sit? Go ahead. We spent nearly an hour talking. Eventually he leaned forward. I have a question. Okay. You interested in starting something new? What kind of something? A business project. I laughed. That's unexpected. Life is unexpected. What makes you think I'd be interested? He smiled. Because you're smarter than most people realize. For the first time in weeks, I felt excitement. Real excitement. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Possibility. Over the next several days, we exchanged ideas and plans. Slowly, my attention shifted away from the betrayal. Toward the future. Toward growth. Toward something better. The strangest part was how peaceful I felt. One night, I climbed into bed and realized something. I wasn't replaying old conversations anymore. I wasn't imagining arguments. I wasn't wondering what I could have done differently. I simply slept. The next morning, my best friend called again. You sound different. Different how? Lighter. I smiled. Maybe I am. Good. After the call ended, I sat alone with my thoughts. A question kept returning. Was I happy about their downfall? Part of me wanted to say yes. Another part wasn't so sure. I had wanted the truth exposed. That had happened. Everything after that was the result of their own choices. Still, watching lives fall apart wasn't satisfying the way I expected. It mostly felt sad. A month earlier, I would have done anything to marry her. Now I barely recognized the person she had become. That evening, a knock echoed through my apartment. I checked the clock. Almost 10. Another knock followed. I walked to the door and opened it. My breath caught. My ex-fiancée stood there. Her eyes were red. Tears streaked her cheeks. She looked exhausted. Broken. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then her voice finally cracked. I made a terrible mistake. And just like that, the chapter of revenge ended. A completely different chapter was about to begin. I stared at my ex-fiancée standing outside my apartment. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, "Can I come in?" After a long pause, I stepped aside. She entered slowly and sat on the couch. I remained standing. Her eyes filled with tears again. "I'm sorry." I said nothing. "I know that doesn't fix anything." "No." She lowered her head. "I never wanted things to end like this." I crossed my arms. "Then why did they?" She wiped her face. I got confused. I waited. The attention felt exciting. I stayed silent. He came back into my life and started reminding me of old memories. And I made stupid decisions. I looked away briefly. The pain wasn't as sharp as before, but it was still there. I was scared. Of what? Marriage. I almost laughed. "You were scared of marriage, so you cheated?" Her shoulders dropped. "When you say it like that, it sounds terrible." "It is terrible." Fresh tears appeared. "He manipulated me." I nodded slowly. "Maybe. You don't believe me?" "I believe he influenced you." She looked hopeful. Then I continued. "But nobody forced you to answer those messages." Her expression collapsed. Nobody forced her to lie. Nobody forced her to hide things. Nobody forced her to humiliate me. Those choices belonged to her, not him. For a few seconds, old memories returned. The vacations, the late-night conversations, the plans we made together. I remembered the woman I wanted to marry. Then I remembered the screenshots, the recordings, the laughter, the betrayal. Not once, not twice, for months. She looked up at me. "Is there any chance?" I already knew what she meant. "No." Her face broke. "Please." I shook my head. "I miss you." I took a deep breath. "I believe that. I love you." The words arrived too late. Far too late. She stood and stepped closer. "I'll do anything." I met her eyes. For the first time since everything happened, I felt completely certain. Not angry. Not bitter. Certain. "I forgive you." Hope appeared instantly. Then I finished. "But I won't take you back." The hope vanished. She looked more hurt by those words than anything else I could have said. "I lost you." "Yes." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I ruined everything." Neither of us argued with that. A few minutes later, she quietly left. I closed the door and felt something unexpected. Days passed. Then my best friend called. "You hear about him?" "The ex." "Yeah." "What happened?" "He left town." I sat down. "Seriously?" "His business collapsed." I wasn't surprised. My friend continued. "Apparently he lost almost everything." A week later I learned even more. Their relationship had ended. Without secrets and stolen moments, reality arrived. They argued constantly. Distrusted each other. Eventually they walked away. The excitement that brought them together destroyed them. Meanwhile, my own life kept moving forward. The business opportunity continued growing. New goals replaced old regrets. For the first time in a long time, the future felt open. Not because I won. Not because they lost. Because I was finally free to build something better. 1 year later, I walked through the doors of the same venue where my life had changed forever. This time, I wasn't carrying heartbreak. I wasn't carrying anger either. I was attending a celebration for the company I had helped build during the year after everything happened. My former coworker greeted me immediately. "Look who finally arrived." I laughed. "I'm only 5 minutes late." "That's a miracle." We shook hands. Then he smiled proudly. "Can you believe how far we've come?" I looked around the ballroom. Honestly? No. A year earlier, I had stood in the same building watching my future collapse. Now I was watching a different future take shape. The room filled with conversation and laughter. For the first time, the memories didn't hurt. Instead, they reminded me how much my life had changed. A woman approached while I was grabbing a drink. "You're the guy from the wedding, aren't you?" I smiled. "I suppose that's one way to introduce me." She laughed. "Sorry." "It's fine. I've heard your story. Most people have." She extended her hand. "I'm glad things worked out for you." I shook it. "Thank you." Unlike many people, she didn't immediately ask questions about the scandal. Instead, she asked, "So how's the business going?" I appreciated that. For the next hour, we talked about work, goals, family, and life. The conversation felt easy, natural, comfortable. At one point, she smiled and said, "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "I admired how you handled everything." I raised an eyebrow. "Most people think I was being petty." "Not me." "Why?" She shrugged. "Because you didn't lie." The answer surprised me. She continued, "People make mistakes, but honesty matters." I nodded slowly. "I agree." The more we talked, the more I noticed the difference between her and my ex. She wasn't impressed by appearances. She wasn't chasing excitement. She valued trust. Simple things. Important things. Hours passed without either of us noticing. Eventually she checked the time. Wow. What? It's getting late. I laughed. I was thinking the same thing. She smiled. Maybe we should talk again sometime. I'd like that. There was no dramatic moment. No sudden declaration. No fairy tale ending. Just possibility. And honestly, that felt better. After she left, I remained behind for a few minutes. The celebration was ending. Guests slowly headed home. The ballroom grew quieter. I found myself looking toward the stage. The same stage where my wedding should have happened. A year ago, I thought my life had ended there. I couldn't have been more wrong. My phone buzzed. It was a message from my best friend. "How's the party?" I smiled and typed back. "Better than expected." Then I slipped my phone into my pocket and looked around one last time. The pain was gone. The anger was gone. Only gratitude remained. If she hadn't betrayed me, I might have spent years with someone who never truly respected me. That realization changed everything. I smiled toward the empty stage. The wedding had happened. Just not the way anyone expected. It wasn't a celebration of love. It was a celebration of truth. And in the end, truth saved me. More importantly, it helped me find myself again. That was the real victory. And this time it was mine forever.